I saw a picture that was posted on social media that prompted me to want to make this video. Now, I have touched on Black Lives Matter in videos in the past, and I think I even did a video highlighting their mission statement and everything like that. But I don't think I made a full blown video, and if I did, it might have been on my original channel that, of course, is no longer up and running. But of course, when I saw this picture, and I'm gonna probably most likely, if I can find it, I'm gonna post it towards the end, and it's gonna pretty much summarize everything up for you. So I am currently on the Black Lives Matter website right here, and I'm about to point out to you just in what's on their site because I wanted y'all to see this for yourself. I didn't want to read like off the phone what it says because then some people say, "Oh, I'm misconstruing what it says." I want y'all to see and read along with me. It's very rare that I do scrolling type videos with the screen recorder, but I said with this one, y'all have to see for yourself because some people may not have seen this before or they didn't care to go look for it. And you'll see why who this movement is actually for. And let me tell you right now, it's definitely anti-black heterosexual men. And you'll see exactly what I mean. So this is the about section right here. And it says hashtag Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer. Black Lives Matter Foundation Incorporated is a global organization in the US, UK, and Canada whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. By combating and countering acts of violence, creating space for black imagination and innovation, and centering black joy, we are winning immediate improvements in our lives. Now, reading that, you could say, oh, you could get on board with something like that until you continue to read a little bit further and realize that what they're saying right here is completely negated in the next couple of sections. And see, the thing is, they probably don't expect people to really pay attention to that. But we're going to scroll down a little bit to this part right here. It says, we are expansive. We are a collective of liberators who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement. We also believe that in order to win and bring in as many people with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is all too prevalent in black communities. We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. Now they're getting a little bit warmer. They were started off cold, but now they're getting lukewarm. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. Now they're getting a little hot. We are working for a world where black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. We affirm our humanity, our contributions to the society, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. The call for Black Lives to Matter is a rallying cry for all black lives striving for liberation. Now I'm about to read their What We Believe section. Now, this is where they pretty much lay out their entire agenda right here. 4 years ago, what is now known as the Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. It started out as a chapter-based member-led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. In the years since, we've committed to struggling together into imagining and creating a world free of anti-blackness where every black person has the social, economic, and political power to thrive. Seemingly, that would sound good until you continue reading. Black Lives Matter began as a call to action in response to state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Our intention from the very beginning was to connect black people from all over the world who have shared a desire for justice to act together in their communities. The impetus for the commitment was and still is the rampant and deliberate violence inflicted on us by the state. Enraged by the death of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent acquittal of his killer, George Zimmerman, and inspired by the 31-day takeover of the Florida State Capitol by Power U and the Dream Defenders, we took to the streets. A year later, we set out together on the Black Lives Matter Freedom Ride to Ferguson in search of justice for Mike Brown and all of those who have been torn apart by state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Forever changed, we returned home and began building the infrastructure for the Black Lives Matter Global Network, which even in its infancy has become a political home for many. Ferguson helped to catalyze a movement to which we've all helped give life. Organizers who call this network home have ousted anti-black politicians, won critical legislation to benefit black lives, and changed the terms of the debate on blackness around the world. Through movement and relationship building, we have also helped catalyze other movements and shift the culture with an eye toward the dangerous impacts of anti-blackness. These are the results of our collective efforts. The Black Lives Matter global network is as powerful as it is because of our membership, our partners, our supporters, our staff, and you. Our continued commitment to liberation for all Black people means we are continuing the work of our ancestors and fighting for our collective freedom because it is our duty. Every day we recommit to healing ourselves and each other and to co-creating alongside comrades, allies, and a family of culture where each person feels seen, heard, and supported. We acknowledge, respect, and celebrate differences and commonalities. We work vigorously for freedom and justice for Black people and by extension, all people. Doesn't that sound like extension when they say all people? Now it's almost like they're treading into the all lives matter territory. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative and not depleting. We are unapologetically Black in our positioning and affirming that Black Lives Matter. We need not qualify our position to love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite for wanting the same for others. We see ourselves as a part of a global Black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as Black people who exist in different parts of the world. We are guided by the fact that all Black lives matter regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are self-reflexive and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege. Notice how I just paused right there? When they say that word cisgender, that means someone who was naturally born the way that they are, or someone who is heterosexual. And uplift Black trans folk, especially Black trans women, who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. We build a space that affirms Black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. You know what's so crazy? Before I even go any further, Black Lives Matter was founded off of 2 deceased heterosexual Black males, and is still thriving off of deceased Black heterosexual males and some Black women that are, scattered around in the mix as well. But nowhere in their mission statement, I've said this so many times, do they include heterosexual Black men, except for when they are dead. Now you see why I cannot get on with this organization. I can't. I said in its sense, yeah. Now, hell no. We practice empathy. We engage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. We make our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so they can mother in private, even as they participate in public justice work. They don't even mention anything about the handful of single dads that are out there. Because believe it or not, they do exist. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Now, notice that it says mothers, parents, and children. Those parents, I bet you any amount of money, they're not talking about a mother and a father. They're probably talking 2 mothers or 2 fathers. In other words, a child growing up in a home where both parents are the same gender. I'm willing to bet. You got to read between the lines of this thing. We foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless she or he or they disclose otherwise. This thing, like I told you, is anti-heterosexual Black men, and reading this lets me know it's just anti-heterosexual, period, whether you are a man or a woman. We cultivate intergenerational and communal work network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. We embody and practice justice and liberation and peace in our engagements with one another. Again, all of this was founded off of two black heterosexual males who lost their lives. And they're always coming around when a heterosexual person, particularly a black male, loses their life. So they only get strength off of deceased black men, but exclude them unless they identify as being a part of the academy from their mission statement. I have said that so many times. And I wasn't even going to do this as a video, but when I saw this picture, and like I said, I'm going to show you the picture at the end, and you'll see what their mission was the entire time. Now, I want you to pay attention to something right quick before I show the picture, because I didn't expect this come across this. This is some statue of maybe some Confederate soldier somewhere in Virginia, I believe in Richmond, if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see on the before and after, they have George Floyd's picture right there, plastered right there. You can clearly see it. And they have a lot of other things written, maybe spray painted on the sign, and different flowers and everything like that. And then it says BLM on the horse of the statue. Now, I want you to keep that in mind right here and be prepared for what I'm about to show you in this next picture. Now, here is the same exact statue that I showed you in the original picture, the before and after, the one that had George Floyd's picture on it. And now look at it. It still says BLM, but guess whose picture is not there this time? George Floyd. And guess what they replaced it with? The Academy's flag, which at one time was not even their flag. Because, you know, the rainbow was something else they also hijacked. Now you can't really walk around with it without someone really accusing you of being a part of that academy. But that's what it is now. And when I looked online, when I saw this picture, the person who tweeted it said, "A new era." If y'all don't believe that that movement was hijacked, or that was their reasoning all along for creating Black Lives Matter, I just read their mission statement from top to bottom. I just showed you the before picture of what the statue looked like before and after, with George Floyd's image on there, as well as writings on there about him and maybe BLM in there somewhere. Now looking at this picture now, this was recent. This was a statue. This is the Robert E. Lee statue. I didn't know who it was until I saw the caption. This is the Robert E. Lee statue. And that's what they put down up there after. Because the George Floyd one was first. And then somebody, I don't know, talked to somebody else. And then they put that out there as well. And I don't know if you saw Lisa Cabrera's recent video, but, you know, in LA, they recently just said, or you know how in DC, the mayor had Black Lives Matter painted across the street? Well, in LA, in the street, it's painted all Black Lives Matter, and the words matter is painted in the rainbow color. If y'all needed any more proof what this organization is really on, it wouldn't, like, here you go. And it's crazy because you have people who are part of that academy who claim that they're not being represented or they're not being talked about. But I just read the entire mission statement from top to bottom, and they mention trans and queer and gay so many times in their mission statement, and then speak ill against people who are heterosexual. And if you speak against that, they'll say you're complaining. Why does that sound so familiar? That sounds almost like some palm-colored talking points when we talk about racism. Oh, just get over it. That was in the past. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They have done nothing more than adopt those talking points and then thrusted that on top of us in a whole new package. But that's all I wanted to show y'all right there. Just in case y'all needed more confirmation, share this video with as many people as you possibly can. I don't give a damn how offended one may get, or some may get. The truth is the truth, and like they say, the truth hurts.